backlog for my new house. And it doesn't drive my wife crazy because I'm a good producer at home. But it's like, hey, there's that floorboard squeaking. We should totally fix that. We totally should. That's going to the bottom of the list because we're not going to do that in like 15 years. But it's on the list, so it makes you feel a little better.
This next one I feel like is probably, for me, the biggest and the most important, and it's really probably where a lot of productions just fall apart, right? This is know your limits and know your scale. So when we started at Giant Bomb, it was a very small team, and I knew immediately that we weren't going to be able to produce what we were producing at GameSpot. It just was not going to happen. And this is where things like the Quick Look came from, and this is where things where it's just like, hey, it's just video with guys talking over it. If you know your scale from the beginning, you can kind of stretch and you can push in the right ways without breaking anything. But if you are a little too ambitious at the top, it's just going to lead to a bad product by the end. And prioritizing and making sure that you're getting the things you can do well out of the way leads you to a little bit of freedom down the line.
Definitely. It's a big thing to be able to accept, like, all right, well, when you're in a creative industry, it's really easy to come up with a lot of ideas. Just, yeah, we should do that, that's a really good idea, that's great. And you have to be like, all right, so let's get those on our list. We probably won't do all of them. What's the one that we want to do first? Let's try that, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I get really excited when we lock into a production, right? Like when we do something big, like Game of the Year or Big Live show, as soon as we're in the go state of it is when I kind of just turn on. I'm like, okay, if you're not with me or against me, we're moving. The production train is pulling out of the station. Everybody better get off the tracks or you're going to get hit. And one of my biggest problems is, you got to remember that not everyone is you. Everyone has their own thing going on. So if you're like, all right, we started production, man, that means we're doing 18-hour days and we're going for 2 weeks straight. Let's woo!
No.
I'm
not doing that.
Yeah. That's kind of the best way to drive everything into the ground. Even though you're cool with it or you think your idea is great and like, we're going to do it, right, buddy? No, don't do it. And to that effect, don't be a crazy person. And I've got a great example of this, unfortunately.
I have a good one too, but that's owned by the state of Rhode Island.
When we did our Game of the Year and we did those like TV shows, I think it was that 2013?
What?
Yeah. It was such a great idea that was maybe a little too ambitious for us, right? So we were going to do a TV show spoof a day. And here's the list of the stuff we kind of wrote down. And these are the locations, right? So we've got like 5 locations, maybe 6 locations for this shoot. That should have been huge red flags, right? That's like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And then here's the production schedule for it, right? And you can see week 1 is just planning and getting all the stuff in. Week 2 is collecting all the gameplay footage, doing the top 10 filming, recording like 4,000 hours of podcasts we do.
They're long shows.
And then also squeezed in there is filming those 5 shows somewhere between December 10th and December 14th.
You guys are, yeah.
Like that should have just been, yeah. And then add on top of that, you're like, hey, let's get a Steadicam. Who's used a Steadicam here before? Nobody. It should never have happened. And I love the product we got, and I think it was great. But boy, oh boy, Drew, you can back me up on this one. That was a nightmare. That was a really tough one. And
did you stop or did you just keep going?
We kept going until we passed out in the office and hit publish. I think we wound up making a few compromises by the end, but that's why the next year we didn't do the video top 10 list. We had to make choices and we had to make compromises. So we did at least learn a little something that, if we're not getting more resources, this is what we can do and not bring out knives or break laws.
Speaking of learning, quick heat check. Are folks learning stuff from this? Is this new information? You guys doing good? All right, good. All right, good, thank you, good. Just checking. We weren't sure. Like, we knew we could have stuff to talk about, and we just want to make sure that, good. All right, let's keep going. We got more. It's good. It's good.
It's good pace.
Yeah, we're doing all right. The green bar is getting it's a good spot. I like
Yeah.
it. So, inspiring trust and leaving nothing unsaid. One great thing, many great things, a lot of great points in this presentation, is that being a producer where you're expected to know everything, you're allowed to ask anything. And that includes, does that keep flickering? Is that what's going on back there? I keep catching it. Sorry about that, everyone. Asking dumb questions is great. When you're in one of those meetings that just kind of ends and no one's quite sure while you're there, and you're just like, man, someone should really just speak up and make sure that this is a good meeting. That's your job. You're the producer. You're like, all right, so what was the output of this meeting? Okay, Danny's going to make a video. Drew's going to work on his posture because he's slouching a little bit. And Brad's going to go do a quick look. Like, we got it. And then when you say that and you get it written down and said out loud, better still, written on a whiteboard, I could do a whole presentation about how amazing whiteboards are. People look at that and they're like, and if things went well, they're agreeing to it. But what will very likely happen is like, oh, I thought we said this. And then another conversation comes out of that and everyone's on the same page. And that all just started just because someone said, wait, what? Yeah. Or like, let's say an engineer gives you a long explanation about a tokenized tooltip system and you get to say like, what is that? Because it's not your job to know, it's your job for the people who know what it is to get it done. So you're asking dumb questions, that's great. And while you're asking dumb questions, you might get questions back, you're answering them with honesty.
Yeah, and then I have asked so many dumb questions, and some are just genuinely dumb to no effect. They're just a dumb question, like, you know,
as long as you're consistent with them.
How does the moon not crash into the earth, like, constantly?
The Hyperion Corporation, I think, is involved.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, some, like Rich said, are like since we got to CBSI, there are so many acronyms. There's so many people doing so many businessy things that are just looking for their slim verticals or whatever they want to do. And
it's a lean forward or lean backwards proposition.
I have no idea, but there's a lot of bandwidth. Mm-hmm. So like, I have no idea what they're talking about a lot, and I do have to kind of clarify. And I have found the best way to make anybody sit up and perk up is to say, like Rich said, all right, so what are you doing? Danny, you doing this? Drew, you doing this? Brad, you doing this? I'm going to follow up with you on Monday and make sure you got that done. Because I have had way too many meetings where it is one meeting, we get all that stuff done. The next meeting is just going over that stuff again and just rehashing it. We need a meeting assassin.
The only thing that's more fun than being a meeting assassin in person is being a meeting assassin like before the meeting happens. Like, hey, Vinny, you booked that meeting. Do we need that?
No, probably not.
All right, cool. What are you trying to get out of it? Let's find out. We'll go
figure out this moon thing.
Let's keep those people working. Yeah. Let's try Wikipedia.
You know, look out for everybody. I think, like I said before, knowing everybody, knowing what everybody can do, and everybody kind of hopefully having a focal point to you to be somebody that is, if not running the thing, at least knowing what's going on. Make sure nobody's killing themselves. Make sure nobody is stuck in a corner doing something that is either inefficient or going to be bad for the product as a whole. So, like, sometimes somebody will just, you know, lock themselves in a room and be like, I'm just going to work on this all the time. You guys go eat, go have fun. You know, make sure, I'm not saying you got to break that person out. I used to hate it when people would be like, turn your computer off, we're all going to the movies today. Yeah. Be like, no, I got a lot of work to do. You don't understand. I understand it's fun movie day for everybody who sits at a desk and does
it's supposed to be really hot.
Spreadsheets, but if I don't do this today, I've got to come in on the weekend and do it. So, like, I want to do it now. So I'm not saying break those people out and grab them and say, we're coming, but check in. You know, see how everybody's doing. Be like, it's awesome. All right, cool. We'll see you later.
Another fun thing about looking out for everybody, and this ties in the last point as well, is looking out for everybody can also mean protecting them from other people. Sometimes marketing. Basically, there's generally, if you built the team, you built your cadence, you built your process, everyone knows how things work and they hum. And where it can go wrong is when someone who's not necessarily part of that team every day just kind of wanders in and they're trying to get something. Like, I need something from this team. Like, hey, we need, what was the example? Sizzle video.
Yeah.
We need a sizzle video made. Can we get the sizzle video made?
You guys make video? Make a sizzle reel.
Exactly. So, like, if you are walking the floor, you're seeing people working on stuff, and you see someone with a button-down shirt that is not a producer, talking to a programmer, you're like, man, that programmer is making $150,000 a year, and they're working on, like, the hardest problem that anyone can tackle in this game, and you're asking them to fill out an HR form, or you're asking them, like, how hard is it to make this webpage? Like, you get in there and you're like, hey, let's talk. What are you looking for? What do you need? Okay, and then when you take them, guide them away, you bring them to a wall where all those scary giant spreadsheets are, where like the stuff you're working on for the month was listed, and you're like, okay, so what do you need? You need a sizzle video, you called it. Excellent. All right, so here's our schedule right now, and let's figure out how that's gonna fit. Who asked you to do this? So you think you asked for it, like, what? They're like, you need it tomorrow? Like, when do you really need it by? July? Okay. Now let's walk you down the hall further. We can totally do that. We're going to put it on our backlog, item 1601.
Yeah.
And when your boss tells me it's more important, we'll bump it up the list to like number 3 maybe because there'll come a point like people in the speaking of aspiring trust and trusting your coworkers, like that marketing person might not know your processes, but someone who you work with, who you trusted them to be part of the team. So while their request might be totally outlandish, like to them it's important, and it's just a matter of working together to figure out how it fits in. Like at some point, like yes, it is more important for an artist to capture screenshots than it is to like make sure that one more creature gets done. It's just the nature of video game. But what makes everyone happy is when they are informed and they know it's coming.
There is Tim Tracy over at GameSpot used to, in his office, he was a producer, have a magic wand with a giant star and streamers on the end. And when people like that would walk out of his office, he'd grab the wand and go, "Video magic!" Because a lot of people don't understand just how long some of that stuff takes, and that was his great way of just releasing those demons.
We made some good sizzle videos.
Ooh, everybody has made a good sizzle video.
Yeah.
Everybody has made a sizzle video. God, I have made some sizzle.
Sizzle.
Videos. They don't sizzle.
Seems like a word. I just need a Jeff like sitting there on a mic saying like sizzle.
Yeah. Honesty. Answer questions with honesty, because you may be asking people to do ridiculous things. And for Giant Bomb, this has been especially true. Thank God I've worked with people that trust me for the most part, or at least they seem to, because we have done some incredibly dumb things.
Saw that panel last night.
Incredibly dumb.
Trust me, Dave Lang, I'm going to break this fake bottle over your head. No, it's really a fake bottle.
It'll be great.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
I'll grab the right one.
That was a well-produced panel.
It was.
So you can look at this shot, and this was taken on the set of our Game of the Year 20XX, and I mean this is what it looks like. It is. Jeff, can you put on this basically dress and this headset and hold this wand and just kind of give me like fighting poses? And what are you going to do with it? Like, I've got an idea. Just trust me on it. It's going to be awesome. It could be like an FMV game. I don't really know everything right now, but we'll figure it out. We'll fix it in post. And so, like, asking people to do that is scary. Like these are people whose, especially on Giant Bomb, it's a very personality-driven site. These are people. This is their job. They need to get up there. They need to make sure that if they are going to be goofed on, it's going to be in the right way, right? And there's a wrong way to tear somebody down. So having the trust of the people you work with is extremely important, especially when you're asking them to do ridiculous things. You need to also make sure everybody understands that they are a superstar that you're working with.
I've kind of hinted at this one a little bit, where basically it's like you may not have been involved in bringing this person on the team, but at some point someone thought this person was really cool, and people should know that, and people should know that you respect their abilities, you think they're awesome, and the thing they're working on is the most important thing that the company needs right now from them, and that goes back to pulling it from informed decisions.
Yeah, and I've been on the other end of this, right? Like, I have been in positions where, why am I even here if you're not going to talk to me and ask me to do this? Like, when Rich was saying you're going to go around people and do go to your engineer and ask them to do a sizzle reel or pull screenshots or something like that. And it's like, if you don't trust that I've got your back to figure that stuff out on my own as a producer, like, why am I even here? Like, why am I doing this? So I like to, put a lot of trust into people, and it is something that, for the producers that I've worked with, there's a problem if you don't don't respect them and don't trust what they're going to do. You're going to be babysitting people. You're going to be kind of leaning over the shoulder. You're going to have to screen their edits. You're going to have to do all this stuff, and it's no good. And they won't have the agency in their product to do a good job either, right? So you need to be confident that that person you hired is somebody who is going to be able to get that thing done on their own and be really happy with the product they put out, and hopefully it's not just their day job and they're just looking to check out. And let them know that these guys are superstars.
And let them do their job.
Let them do their job. That's why they're there.
Get out of their way. Let them do their job. Get other people out of the way. I'm going to pull in a question.
Oh, sure.
I actually remember to check
relevant?
this. The first question comes from Twitter, which says, error while loading tweets. Please tap to retry. But we also got one from the Turbo C. I'm guessing that's not your real name. Where are you? Excellent. Hey, what's up? The question is, how do you handle a team where some talented or not members aren't necessarily committed to a project and are avoiding or phoning in work? The ultimate solution is to let them go, which happens a lot. But you don't. That's a failure of the company's part. You have to be comfortable doing it, but hopefully you don't do that. The first thing to do is, if you're a big enough company, pull in their lead. As a producer, you're not someone's boss, but you're an identifier and solver of problems. So if there's someone dragging their feet, it's not on you necessarily. It could be, depends on how the structure is, but it shouldn't be your job to pull them from their funk. It's their boss's job, and it's your job to tell their boss about it. If you're a smaller team, a lot about making production easy is about making sure you have the right team, and the next solution is basically a one-on-one, open, honest conversation. Hey, I think you're dragging your feet. What's going on? And maybe they have something going on at home. Maybe they don't want to be on that project. And if they're still a value to the company, you find that you swap them out. You find another way to do things. And if they're not a value to the company, then you find a way to go your separate ways. There's a lot of turnover.
So I've worked at big companies. Well, CBS is definitely the biggest I've worked at, in small companies. And other methods I have seen are promote that person to the position where they can do the least damage. So
That's not a good solution.
They just get moved up, and then that person is out of your
Don't do that.
department anymore.
Don't do that.
And then eventually something happens, and that person is making too much money. Fired. Yeah. All valid strategies.
Yeah, that is a valid strategy. Like, get them out of the way. If you can't get rid of them, get them out of the way. It's like, and just stop having them be your problem. If they're slowing the team down, either fix it or just get them out of the way, and whichever is the best way possible.
So kind of sitting on the everyone is a superstar or superstar.
You said ABC earlier. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, it was on purpose.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. Maybe you were saying CBS, so it seems like you got uncomfortable with it.
Talented people make things seem easy, and it might not be apparent at first, especially if you're kind of like just getting into production and video production. People on camera seem like they might have the easiest job in the world, right? It's like you're sitting there, you're hauling around 40 pounds of gear all day, you're doing all this stuff, and that guy just shows up with his pen and his notebook, gets on camera, does his thing.
Kills it,
has a drink with the guy later, you're wrapping up your cables, you're like, that's the freaking easiest job in the world. It's usually not. And that's good to know. And I've been on camera, Drew's been on camera, and I picked the greatest screenshots I could for this.